So I came out of the cinema with a new perspective on the film industry. It has shifted like crazy because Iron Lung proves that there can be uncompromised, pure passion projects. I'm Darcy with the details, and this is how one man made the most uncompromised film there is. So what do I mean by uncompromised? Well, the famous YouTuber Markiplier, 38 million subscribers, and he's basically YouTube royalty. He runs off of fuck you energy. And if you know anything about him, he is always evolving. There is not a single YouTuber on the platform that I believe has evolved as much as he has over the last 14 years that I've been watching him. He's a man of adaptation, and he always inspires others, as he believes inspiration is the most valuable currency. And I believe in that. After coming out of this film, I purely felt like I just needed to talk about it. Now, this movie is not for everyone, and that is completely okay. After all, everyone has different attention spans and understandings, and not everyone enjoys feeling as uncomfortable as Iron Lung may make you feel. At the root of this passion project, Markiplier has done something incredible. It's shown Hollywood that not every movie needs to be extremely digestible, and maybe the audience isn't as stupid as you think they are. There's too many films that are coming out lately that I feel like have the Subway Surfers effect. In that, I mean the pacing is just starting to feel more and more affected by the ever-shortening attention spans of people. And what Iron Lung does is basically break you down and throw attention span out the window, because you're gonna need to sit back and immerse yourself for the next 2 hours. I've heard a lot of people saying that the pacing and the slow burn is the thing that sort of weakens the film. They say in the first half an hour to 45 minutes, it's a lot of Mark just in a submarine, in silence, sort of navigating around, and not much going on. And not much of the plot is being explained. And this is where I say that that take is completely fine, but I believe that's what makes it strongest. This film so strongly works off of visual cues and representation. Instead of just telling you everything that's going on in the plot and explaining to you the direness of this isolation and the mission, it shows you instead. There's so many moments in the film that if you're paying attention and you're looking for visual cues, the whole entire vibe of the film is explained there for you. You understand that oxygen is running out, not because they're telling you it's running out, because you can make the assumption in your head that when one extra bar of the oxygen meter is lowered, you know it's getting more dire. My favorite tension builder is when it visually tells you when something is close to the submarine. There's lights flashing telling you that there's something close, and when it starts moving on its own, there's not a single thing telling the viewer out loud that there is something alive moving around the submarine. But we can pick up on that. We're not stupid. You can tell visually only that the indicator that is telling you what is close to the submarine is starting to move around on its own. Storytelling, I believe, should be shown and not told. Too many films nowadays just vomit out information. There's just too much over talking. There's too many films being made that you're supposed to not pay attention and be scrolling your phone while a film's telling you what's going on. What Mark has done is showing that people can sit in the theaters and watch something and still follow through. And if you didn't understand the plot, that is completely okay, because the plot is not entirely supposed to be understood, and it is supposed to be left up to interpretation. There's so many parts in the indie game that is left up to interpretation, such as the images you capture and the sounds you hear and the notes left behind by people, as well as the whole entire world building is completely up to a random depiction of anyone who plays the game. That's where Iron Lung is strongest. I went into the film loving the game and loving the lore, and what Mark did, expanding on that and creating this even bigger universe that I never knew I needed until I saw that film, was quite amazing. My partner who went in there with me has never even seen the game before. She went in completely blind, yet she still understood the universe, the plot, what was going on, the mission, and the isolation that you feel throughout the whole entire film. The word isolation, I love it. It basically capsulizes the whole entire movie. What Mark does with the feeling of isolation is purely incredible. What we see as viewers is just as much as the convict sees that is stuck inside this submarine. There's only a few moments in the film where there's scenes outside of the submarine set, and that's incredible on its own. To show a whole entire story just in one small set space should just be award-winning in itself. But showing the story through the eyes of the protagonist only just makes it such a more intimate film. Something I could relate this intimacy with would be the God of War 2018 video game, as those who have played it and experienced it knows that the camera follows the protagonist throughout the whole entire film, and what we see and experience is exactly the same amount of experience as the protagonist we follow along with. A storytelling technique as strong as that one is so hard to pull off, yet Mark perfectly capitalized that technique. I feel like there's too many people that just want answers extremely quickly and forget that we are watching this convict use this submarine for the first time, and it shows you in real time him figuring it out. He's figuring out this map and it's isolating and there's basically no one to help him. And yet, we're just as helpless watching him do it. What I believe Mark has done here is purely amazing. The fact that he has not changed a single thing for a company, for another person, or for the viewers. He has shown that he is stuck close to his guns and he has made something in his image. And if you can't follow along with it, that is okay. It's not for everyone, but those that it's for, it will resonate so hard with you, and it is purely a massive joy to watch. Now let's talk about one of the issues with the film. I believe one of its weakest points is the acting, but not in the way that you think it is. He wasn't necessarily a bad actor at all. I believe Mark did an amazing job acting, and out of all of the roles I've seen him play over the last 14 years, this is definitely the best and strongest he has sold a performance. So what exactly is it? I believe the biggest setback with being a big time YouTuber is that when you start an acting career, everyone already knows how you act behind a camera. And so when you're trying to break into a character that isn't yourself, it's really hard to see someone different than the person you've been watching on YouTube almost every day of your life. It's not to say he was doing a bad job at acting. He's cursed with the fact that the people who know him well, and it's really hard to see him being this Simon character when we all know him as Mark. For example, this would be like having a best friend that you grew up with, and then all of a sudden they were a big time actor. And as much as you think they can be an amazing actor, every time you see him on screen, you still see your best friend and not the character that they're trying to play as. There were so many moments in the theater where so many people, myself included, had a few chuckles here and there because Mark would say something like, "Fuck me." And all that we can hear is Mark saying "fuck me" to a Let's Play series, and not because he's in this scenario. There was a moment in the film where he was having a drink of something that we all know as fans he shouldn't be drinking. Obviously the immersion in the film was a bit broken there. It was a serious scene, yet everyone was sort of lighthearted and chuckling because we see him as Markiplier and not as Simon, the convict. That is something I don't think he could ever overcome, is that curse of familiarity. Sadly, it is what it is, but regardless, there were moments, especially towards the end of the film, where I was getting more and more sold on this Simon convict character the longer he got into the role. Now, another thing a lot of people are complaining about is the runtime. They think it should have been a lot shorter, and I'd have to disagree. I honestly think the timing was pretty good. I just think there was a few things that maybe ran a little bit longer than they should have, especially towards the end of the film where there was a lot of hallucinations and eldritch horror going on. And I feel like they could have just shortened that last section a little bit and maybe added a few more moments of flashbacks into the past of this Simon character, just to build on him a little bit more. But then again, the unknown and the assumptions that a viewer can make is also a powerful thing. And I feel like most people are very used to being spoiled with every film telling them exactly how things end and how it started and what is going on at all times. And I feel like Iron Lung has done something really different where it hasn't told you everything that there is to know about everything. And it definitely left a lot of people with more questions than there were answers. So what's my rankings on the whole film? I'd probably myself rank it an 8.5 out of 10. Now I'm trying to do it with as little bias as I have as possible. And I asked my partner, who came in and watched it with me, who doesn't really watch Mark, she's a complete normie, and she's never even seen the Iron Lung video game before. She was happy to rewatch it, and she was absolutely itching to know more about the universe and is dying to see if there is going to be any sequels or prequels, and she would just love to know more about the lore and the history. And as someone who was terrified of horror films, she absolutely loved it. There were so many moments where she was so on edge, and the suspense and the isolation and dread that there was in the film was absolutely eating away at her, and I just loved seeing her reaction to it all. I can't tell you what you're gonna like and what you're not gonna like, but I can tell you to just give it a shot, because if we support more projects like this, instead of the 40,000 live action remake of The Lion King or Snow White or Lilo and Stitch, with the ape together strong mentality, we can work together and slowly push out these shitty remakes in the theaters and slowly start bringing in more passion projects from indie developers and people who just want to give filming a crack. I myself have always wanted to direct and film a movie, and watching Iron Lung has massively inspired me to see what can actually be possible. And if we keep this train going of saying fuck you to Hollywood, then maybe there is a chance one day for people like me and you who have no training can actually make something to go in the theaters for everyone to see. I really want to make some sort of spin-off Iron Lung short film on YouTube. So if you think that would be a good idea, let me know and I'll actually give it a crack, because I'm super inspired right now. Markiplier has set ripples into the film industry, and I am absolutely riding this wave of inspiration. So that's my take on it. Please go watch it, go out there and tell your friends and family to give it a crack. Whether or not you like horror, gaming, Markiplier, or none of the above, I still think you should go out there, because it's not just a film. There's a whole entire cause behind it to make something incredible that doesn't compromise for anything and is purely made out of one passionate vision and shown to the world. I hope you enjoyed the details with me today, and I'll see you all in the next one.